All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Waiver Wire. It's Sunday, July 28th. I'm joined once again with Zach. And, we're just here to talk about a couple things. Us both being from a small town. Just kind of talking about what inspired us to do what we do. Zach's like a musician. I started doing this podcasting thing. So, just kind of talking about our upbringings, So, Zach, being from Classic and I, graduating class was 40 kids.
Yeah.
What would you say it was your biggest inspiration coming up?
Honestly, getting out of the town. And the only reason I say that is because, I felt like I wasn't really a part of a small town life. When I'm in the city, I feel more myself than I do in a small town. And I've always had, broader... when I was younger, I had broader goals. Now the goals are kind of, more focused and stuff like that. So I always had goals of, what I wanted to do with my life. And I couldn't do that living in a small town. Feel me?
Yeah, I feel like I don't know what I'd say my biggest inspiration was or my biggest influencers. There was a lot of staples within the community that were a big part of you growing up. I was best friends with Lane and Trey Bodenhammer. I was always at their house. My parents obviously.
Yeah.
Go to school. Mr. McNicholas, our English teacher, was always really cool. Slavish was great.
Brewer.
Yeah, Brewer. Frank Soames is another one that I really appreciated.
The GOAT.
Yeah. And I honestly, I think one of my biggest influences growing up might have been just the community, because working at the pool and stuff like that, I got the opportunity to work with you guys, and I met you. I kind of knew of you, but that's where I spent my majority of the time when I first met you. I hung out with Bryce within that,
Yep.
Within the pool. So it was being a younger kid, I kind of got the perspective of some of the guys that you might have looked up to at some point.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback off that, another thing with Claxton is they kind of let you be yourself. Everybody had their own personality. Nobody was judged. I felt like we had a really good community like that, and nobody was judged. And honestly, there wasn't much bullying going on or anything like that. So I always felt like we had a really good school. You feel me? Really good kids.
Yeah, that's a big thing within class of 15. My class, I feel like we were all just even kids you didn't hang out with, you were still just I wouldn't say really close with, but you still respected, and you still were you were super nice to. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that was the biggest thing about my class is nobody was judgmental, nobody hated on anybody, so it was really easy just to go to school, talk about what you wanted to talk about, or be who you wanted to be, and just feel good about it.
Absolutely.
So how would you compare, now that you've lived in the city, how would you compare that to living in a small town? And if you could go back and change anything about growing up in a small town, what would that be?
I think city really at the top there's more opportunity, more people that are successful, and especially I'm coming at it from my perspective, my music. There's more opportunity for it, and I'm not saying Portland's scene is anything crazy, but there's more opportunity there was in Claxton or on the coast, And then in terms of jobs, there's a bigger job market, and lastly, there's more successful people, so you have more people to talk to, more people to get introduced to, stuff like that. But living in a small town, there is the good things about it, and it sounds bad, but in sports, you can basically do 3 sports. You could do any sport you want, and it's not that the competition level's so low. It's just that there's not a lot of kids, So you can do like me in high school. I did football, basketball. I sucked at baseball, then I did track. But I can do 3 sports, you know what I mean? And same goes to you. You did a couple sports too, so
yeah.
You feel me on that?
I think the biggest thing for me, when I first moved to Portland, I was going to barber school, downtown. And the thing that I took away from that is driving from Oregon City down to Portland. It was just driving by all the hospitals and the big ass buildings. I remember just that inspired me. Just driving by not that. Class 9 is awesome. I really appreciated going out there, but when you're in a new environment, you see stuff like that. It's inspiring. It makes you want to be better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it motivates you. Just seeing and that goes back to more people. There's more motivated people. You feel me? And that motivated me because when I first came up here, I struggled. For a while because it's you're used to that small town life. It's slower. It's faster paced up here or down here, wherever you want to call it. But yeah,
I feel being in a big town too. It's easy to find a sense of community. I'm a big Blazer fan, so I go down to Spirit of 77, and you were surrounded by at least 75 plus people that are all in jerseys, all decked out, all high-fiving and hugging each other.
Mm-hmm.
Where in a small town, you're not going to get that experience.
Right.
Just because there, like you said, there's just not enough people. And like also living in the city, we live like right next to like public transit. So if you want to go down there and have get loose with your friends a little bit, it's easy just to hop on that, go down there and hang out, meet new friends.
Lot more opportunity to spend money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if there was something I could change about being from a small town, it would. I think it would be more like voices or shoulders or people to go to and just kind of get like a vibe of where to go next in your life, because I feel like there's really like great staples within the community, but there's just like not like there's not a lot of people, so it's not a lot of people looking at it. Like there's people either work at the mill or they work at Longview somewhere, so it's not a lot of diversity within their careers.
And those jobs are becoming less and less.
Right, so
you're getting paid less.
You think of that and you think like, oh, like my dad's worked at the mill forever and all my friends' dads worked at the mill, so it's not like a whole lot of, oh, my friend's dad is a sales rep for this company. Like, I want to get some insight on that. That sounds interesting. It's more like everybody works at one, so it's hard to get some insight on things.
Well, yeah, and that goes because like I'm one of the managers of the trainers, and when I first started doing this, I had no business background.
Mm-hmm.
My dad, whatever you call it, he worked a bunch of different trades, but none of them were sales.
Mm-hmm.
None of them were training. So that's all stuff I had to find mentorship from, and people like that we didn't have in a small town.
Yeah.
In a bigger city, you have more people that are in business. You have more people that are lawyers, this, and that. Like you said, there's more people working at the mill. What kind of skills can you take and apply that to your life?
Mm-hmm.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Maybe hard work.
Right.
But besides that, making toilet paper, and it's not a bad thing. That's the jobs that were provided at the time.
Yeah. To me, it's more of a, like, if you live in a big town, chances are it's 99% chance there's more diversity in jobs. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So if you talk to 5 different people, you pull them off the street and talk to 5 different people and say, what do you do? How do you like your job? What's a typical day in life?
Mm-hmm.
I would almost guarantee all 5 of those people are going to have a different day in the workplace, a different style, you know what I mean? Just different jobs.
A lot more diversity.
Versus if you went in the Safeway class and I pulled 5 people out of there, there's a big chance.
Mill, mechanic. That's about it.
Yeah, something like that. So that's the thing is.
Fultanos.
Yeah. Like I work sales now, and my stepmom always told me like, you need to be in sales. You need to be in sales. And at the time, I worked at Dutch Bros Coffee in Longview, which was really a great experience for me.
Yeah, that's good.
I feel like I learned a lot about myself, which sounds weird, just being in a coffee shop, but you're exposed to a lot of stuff. That was the first place I ever went outside of class now, where I'm all of a sudden there's a bunch of random people around me. I don't know any of my coworkers' personal life or how they were brought up, so it's a whole different atmosphere.
It's like you're forced to talk to people.
Yeah.
Meet and you have to talk to people you don't know.
Right.
Because the class that like everybody,
Yeah. You know everybody and their mom, basically.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, but like when you meet somebody you don't know, then it's like, okay, that's where you really grow.
Yeah.
That's where you.
So when working there, I didn't have a single coworker from class 9. They were all around 20 years old. I didn't know the first 20 years of their life. I just knew who they were at that point, which I think helps gives you perspective when you meet new people too. Mm-hmm. When you meet new people and you for the first time like that, it kind of gives you a perspective on people you already know to not be so judgmental, because you're like, oh, this person's 22 and this person's really awesome, and they tell you something that they might have known when they were younger, where it's like, oh, that's not cool. But it's like, but you're a great person now. So it almost kind of gives you perspective on people that you've already known as well.
Right.
But
just giving a little background. We're living near Portland.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody knew that, but yeah, we live like between. I don't know if you guys know where like Clackamas is in Portland. We're right between. Yeah. It looks really nice outside. But there's some tents. There's some tents down the street that some bums are living in. So I might be there soon. I'm just kidding. But no, I'm blessed to be here right now. But Claxton, in terms of population-wise, I don't know what the population is here, but it's like times 10. Yeah. Maybe even times 20.
That was one really cool thing that I learned when I first moved to Clackamas area was when I first got a gym membership at 24/7. They have a full court there, and I would go there, and there would always be at least 22 to 25 guys running, and you'd have to wait like 30 minutes.
24 hours?
Yeah. It was like packed. People are sitting on the side, and that was the first time I've just gone to an open gym where it's like, people make names for themselves here, like not in a way of like NBA or like JUCO, but like there's well-known players there. There's people that walk in that people look over and think, oh man, he's here. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's gonna be a long night. You know,
Big
so
facts.
it's cool when you meet people there that are just. It's just the idea.
It really humbles you.
Yeah, it totally
because
does.
like I was decent at football, you know, at Claxton. And when I played college football, I was like, damn, these cats are good. You know what I mean? I was like, man, I thought I was all right, and then it's like, okay, I was really all right.
Yeah,
Because
it definitely like humbled me in the sense where it's like I need to stick to what I know I can do versus try to do something crazy and just force something. I'm like, I'm just gonna play my role. You know?
Yeah, play your role, but in the facets of what you're good at. And I mean, another thing is I always tell like kids that are coming up, like if you do go to a big city, kind of like try new things though. You know what I mean? Like try to find what you're passionate about. Like I mean, look at us right now.
Yeah.
We're doing podcasts. This is something I never thought I'd even be on. You know? So it's something new, and for you it's something new too.
Right.
So it's cool.
This is something like Nick, who I have on quite a bit. We always used to talk about doing this, and then now I feel the confidence to do it because working at Dutch Bros, you know, I just like was exposed to so many people, and now I work sales where I represent like a whole company, and people come in, and it's just every day, you know, you learn more and more about yourself, and I feel like Class and I kind of made a form for me, and then I went somewhere, and that shaped me into the proper form. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I got you. And it's not the same for everybody. I mean, the hard part is like you think you know who you are in a small town. You know, you have these niches of who you are. You know, you're an athlete. You know, whatever, blah blah. I didn't like with the music thing. I didn't really start making music that heavy till I got into college. Because I started as like, oh, I actually am passionate about this. But in Claxton, I never thought I'd be passionate about that. And it has nothing to do with that. It's just that the people I knew, you know, brought me this. You know, I didn't know that many people, like we said, me and Tyler Hooligan and people like that, but I didn't really know that many people making music. You feel me? So it brought a whole new perspective.
Right, yeah. And you can apply that to a lot of things. I feel like you just meet, that's the biggest key about, I think, living in a big city that I appreciate over a small town, is you meet all these new people, which create new experiences, which with new experiences, you're always going to learn. So it's like, I remember, you know, it's kind of corny, but it's like a quote from LeBron. Somebody's like, are you uncomfortable being down 3-1 in the finals? And he goes, uncomfortable. He's like, I always want to be uncomfortable. If you're uncomfortable, you're always learning something.
Absolutely.
So if you're sticking your hand in the fire and you're going out there and you're like, hey, I'm just going to try this. And,
I like that a lot.
Yeah, you know, it's like you always need to be uncomfortable because even if you fail, you learn something about yourself and you gain new perspective. So like
failure is the key to success.
Right.
Like, that's what you're basically talking about because it's like you can, like, and that's great. I love that because like I've been reading a lot of books on that. It's like if you put yourself in a bunch of different situations that are uncomfortable, you have to grow.
Yeah.
Like even if maybe it's not what you're passionate about, you have to grow.
Yeah.
And it's like this is something. The first time I did, I always say fired up. I was fired up because it was like, yeah, this is something I've never done before, but I like it.
That's
you know what I mean?
I mean, like, you're in sales, too, but it's like the first time,
Yeah.
It's a 2-month training process, and they needed somebody ASAP, so they trained me in 2 weeks, and then my boss was like, all right, here's your stuff, go help that customer. And I remember right away just being like, I have no idea what I'm doing. But then
that anxiety and fear sets in.
Right, yeah. But then something just came over me where I was like, this is how you learn. You know, I'm going to go out there, I know I can greet people, I know I can say what's up. After that, I'm clueless. But I'm just going to fake it and then ask my manager what I need to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like go out there and just learn step by step. Like
people always say, like, fake it till you make it.
Right, yeah.
And then when it's made, you ain't faking it no more.
Right. if it's like a 5-step process, it's like step 1 is go greet them. Then number 2 is to do whatever. It's like I'm going to learn number 2 and then I'm going to learn step 3 and then I'm going to learn step 4. You know what I mean? Every time you expose yourself to that, you're going to learn the next step,
Absolutely.
step. And pretty soon it's just it's easy.
And then it becomes like in your memory, it's you know it's so easy, it's basic, and then what you want to do is you want to learn more.
Right.
Get better and better. That's how I feel right now. It's like man, it's like you know you start learning the systems, get the systems down, and you're like, okay, how can I bring myself into the systems? You know, because you don't want to be robotic. You know, that's the hardest thing. Is like a lot of people become robotic. It's like you can't, like, especially if you're working a 9 to 5, you can't be robotic. You got to go to work, bring in like your energy. Yeah. And that's hard, bro. That's been the hardest thing for me, and I know because I want to be an entrepreneur really fully. I want to be an independent business owner, and I will be. But like for the time being, is like you know you gotta give everything you can at that 9 to 5 too.
I think the hardest part for me, because I mean I feel like I work 9 to 5 in a sense because it's like I work 4 days a week. I'm open to 5 or whatever, and then I work an off day. But the biggest thing for me is just being in sales is like if the floor isn't busy, it's so hard to stay motivated.
Right.
4 hours into your shift, you have no sales, and somebody comes in and they're on the fence, and you're like,
then you get like negative and unconfident.
yeah. And look, I think the common person would be like, wouldn't you be motivated? Like, finally, I'm getting a sale out, but it's really like it bogs the day down where it's like 4 hours in. I'm
because
like,
if you don't get a sale, like, and it sounds bad, and if I was gonna say like our job is like called saving lives, but if you don't get a sale like in the beginning of the day, it kind of eats at you the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, I gotta get that sale. Then you
Right.
seem desperate. So you can't seem desperate. You gotta like, especially if you're in the sales industry, you just gotta like chill and vibe and know the process is gonna work.
On the flip side of that, though, when you're like getting sales, those are big days. When you get a sale in your first half hour, you're just
I know.
like rolling momentum. You're just
It's
getting
bad
sale after
because it
sale.
feeds your ego.
Yeah,
You think
yeah.
you're like some like boss ass dude.
Right.
But like, yeah, like you think you're some like, and then you gotta humble yourself and realize, hey, I had a good day, but
tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah. yeah. So you gotta humble yourself.
I think to me, like the biggest thing out of class now there's just a couple things. We're coming up on 16 minutes, so we'll try to wrap this up. But the biggest thing for me coming out of class that I appreciate is, I just want to say staples in the community. So certain people I looked up to and I really appreciated. Mr. Burns, another teacher we didn't shout out.
Oh,
I thought
yeah,
was
dude,
super
Burns.
Awesome.
Just a quick little snippet on Burns, really quick.
Yeah.
I remember when Burns said, you don't listen, like you're uncoachable. And dude, like when he said, because I was young at the time and I wasn't coachable, I wasn't listening to what he was saying.
Yeah.
And bro, ever since like, if he ever listens to this podcast, but like ever since you said that, bro, like that hit me right in the heart. And I just started opening up my ears to what everybody was saying.
Seriously.
I just like, you know what I mean? But anyways,
No,
keep
no,
going.
no,
I just
no,
gotta get that little
that-
snippet. But
that's
that's
a good
true.
point,
Like you gotta be
because-
coachable, bro. Like
to continue off that,
Yeah.
it's probably because you respected him so much. You know what I mean? When someone you respect kind of like puts you in your place.
Skirvin did the exact same thing with me.
Yeah, it's really important for leaders within the community to build a respect and a relationship. That's the thing about teachers. I couldn't stand teachers that were like just like straight edge. But like the teachers like Slavish who would talk to me about video games, and then also like, dude, you need to like focus harder in class. It's like I want to focus harder in class because I respect you. Like I really appreciate it.
Right? Yeah, you respect. It's almost like when you can have that like relationship with somebody, and know that they're a human being.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just like a teacher, but they're a human being.
Right.
You respect them more.
Yeah.
Because they're like you.
And
they went through the same things. So.
CJB tension's another one that's really cool. But the other thing is like just the friendships I had throughout high school. I feel like German George, Colton Pusey, Lane. I mean the list goes on. Griffin, Trevor Burke.
Shout out Bryce Hornets, Mitchell
Yeah.
Jensen.
Any of those guys, I feel like I can call, not talk to them for 2 years, call them, and then we're gonna pick up right where we left off. You know what I mean? It's like
that's one thing. Yeah, actually, to hit on that point, that is one thing about Claxy and I that I really do respect is those long lasting.
Yeah.
Because like me and my friends will fall out. Like I mean, and it's my fault too. It's it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
But like once I call them or text them, it's like.
It's like instantly the relationship's right back where it was, and it's like there's no hard feelings. And that might be like in high school you say it wasn't judgmental for your class. It wasn't from. It sounds like our classes are very similar.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
that's what it
class
seems
is
like.
cool.
People aren't like getting pissy. Everyone knows we're all busy, and then it's like we all come together, and it's like, dude, what have you been up to? What's going on, man? You know what I mean? And like, it feels really good to have relationships that that at the end of the day, that these core people that you grew up with will always have your back. And that's the thing about Class 9 that is just like, or from a small town, you could say. I mean, that is just like really cool to me.
Yeah.
But do you have anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
I love this. That was a good talk.
Yeah, that was a good one.
All right, man.
All right, everybody, thanks for watching. If you want to follow our social medias, we're right down here. It's Zach. It's right up there, right under his album cover.
Have a good day, guys.
See ya.